Yeah, we're a couple of days away from playing a game. I think the players are excited. I mentioned to them that generally this is not the NFL. And the NFL, you have preseason games, and you can work out a lot of things, and it kind of shows up in college games early. A couple games you watched on television, I watched as well. The Florida-Miami game was 280 yards and fouls, 23 fouls. Sloppy play, ball on the ground, interceptions, just things that happen. Missed tackles, I want to say there was 20 missed tackles. I know because I counted them. And, that's what you always are concerned with when the season starts. How will you play? How will you react to the opening day? And so we've kind of addressed that with our players, showed them some clips of certain games, what has transpired in a couple games that we didn't want to get into that kind of stuff. We'll see if they listened. We're going to have to go play. We're going to play with a lot of young players, which we anticipated when we recruited them and brought them in here. So it's like anything, players are tired of practicing against each other. They want to just go play a game. And I think as coaches, you want to play a game as well. Find out a lot about yourself next couple of weeks, what type of football team you are, and then from there you get to adjust and then just figure out what you can do well and play. Questions?
Coach Paul Richardson with the Sports Cave. Two-part question. One, as far as the players, what's their vibe this year going into the season? Different situation last year, veteran quarterback this year, a new quarterback. And then what's your vibe this year having a year at ASU under your belt as coach?
It'll always be, as long as I'm the coach here, is compete for the Pac-12 South. That's never going to change for us, regardless of who's playing, how many freshmen you have playing, how many sophomores you have playing, doesn't matter. I mean, that's got to be the expectations we have, and I think our players understand that. And I think the more you watch them play, the young guys, the better they're going to become as a football team. And that's what you're hoping, and look, I'm going to be quite honest. I've been in this profession a long time, and opening day, it's opening day, and you don't know what to expect. You just don't. And I don't care what any coach will tell you that. NFL coaches will say that, and I was one of those guys. I was on the staff with a bunch of great NFL head coaches, and you just don't know. You assume certain things are going to happen, but until you get into the heat of the contest, you don't know what's going to happen. Sideline conduct, I think, is important. How we get plays in on offense, how we communicate on the sideline. I mean, a lot of these guys have never done that in the college atmosphere. And I think all of that is part of it, and that's the fun part for me. It just is. I know my personality. There's nothing that'll surprise me. I won't panic. I'll just coach, and that's what I do. I just coach, and I don't panic, and I think the players understand that. I hardly ever raise my voice unless I got to holler to somebody on the field that I see something and, give them an alert. But other than that, I'm pretty much in control because it's a chaotic sideline. Sidelines are chaotic, and somebody has to be in control over there and make sure the players understand we're going to adjust on the sideline, and we're going to have to adjust at halftime as well. I mean, those are the big moments in a football game. What you do when you come off the field as a unit, and then how you return, and the same thing at halftime. So those are the kind of things I'm looking forward to.
Right. Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. Good to see you.
Mm-hmm.
There was a game over the weekend.
Which one?
Arizona, Hawaii.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Something like 1,100 yards of offense,
Yeah.
80-some-odd combined points. That's not the kind of football that you've been known for in your career. How do you talk to your guys about, look, this ain't what we do here?
Well, I think sometimes, games are played, and you have an idea of how you want to play, and then the game gets going another way. You can't be hard-headed and say it's going to go this way. You got to go, well, I got to play this way now. If you can't stop them on defense, then guess what? You better start scoring some points, okay? If you always have this idea how you want to play, and I think the game will dictate that eventually, and then you get into one of those games. But you're right, it was a high-scoring affair, over 1,100 yards of offense. Fans love that stuff. Hawaii had almost 38 minutes of possession time. They turned the ball over 6 times. It's amazing, and still won a game. And generally that doesn't happen. It's the same way with the Florida-Miami game. Florida ended up winning that game, and they turned the ball over 4 or 5 times. And that's generally not the case. You win, but I think what helped Florida, they got 10 sacks. So that kind of, it's just, you don't know. I mean, you get into the game, we want to do this. Well, if we can't stop them, it's the first to 50, right? I mean, you don't like playing in them games, but you just want to win. Whatever it takes to win, that's what we're going to try to do.
Matt Roy, Cronkite Sports. How reliant are you guys going to be early on in the season on Eno and your senior offensive line to take a little bit of the pressure off of Jaden Daniels?
Well, that's why we, really wanted to run the ball last year. I think that was important to establish that we could run the football. We knew we were going to be in a situation where we were going to play a young quarterback. And so that was already thought about when I took this job, to be quite honest. I was thinking ahead. I think as a coach, you always have to think ahead, knowing what you're coming back to and how things are going to change at certain positions. So, yeah, but here again, with that being said, defenses are going to stack the box. They're going to put 8 guys in the box. They say, we're going to stop Eno, we're going to make the freshman quarterback try to beat us. That's what I would do, and I'd bring pressure. How is he going to react to pressure? How is he going to react? There's 6 guys coming at him. What's he going to do with the ball? I mean, all those things are going to happen to him, and he's going to have to play, and he's going to have to deal with it. We'll help him, but that is the process of learning how to play quarterback, and you can't stop it. You can't stop defenses. Oh, don't do that because he's a freshman. They're going to do it. They're coming. They're going to storm the castle. They're going to come at him, and they're going to try to stop us from running, get us in some 3rd and longs, make him hold the ball, make some decisions. That's part of it. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Coach Hood, Rubino Devil's Digest. With the new rule that got instituted just last year with freshmen preserving their eligibility, playing in 4 games or less, would it be fair to say this is a game that you may be starting to employ that approach, so to speak?
Yeah, a few guys, but here again, some of those guys are really good players. They're just going to play the whole year. We'll be young, and the only way to learn how to play is play. And you're better off for it in the long run. When you're trying to build a program, you understand that, and there's some growing pains, and you go through them, and you just, you hope you can win games, and you're gonna win. We're gonna win games with them. That's my mindset. I'm not gonna make any excuses. Just say they're gonna go play, and we're gonna go, oh no, and then we're gonna say, oh yeah, they did good that time, and that's all you can do. I mean, you can't guard against it. There's nothing you can do except not let them play. But that doesn't do us any good. So the guys that are available to play are going to play. And if they're a freshman and he plays, we're going to root him on and we're going to help him as much as we can, but he's going to have to play.
Chris Carmen,
Yep.
Son of a Source. Danny Gonzalez spoke with us yesterday about concerns about tackling. You mentioned the first game, which is some bad tackling, and some of the things that you guys tried to do in the spring with the rugby tackling and whatnot to try to make sure that you're doing everything that you want. Can you just expand on that?
Yeah, and tackling is a big concern, I think, for all coaches. I mean, in the one game, the Miami game, I want to say in Florida was 20. In the Arizona-Hawaii game was 18. So you just miss tackles. In pro football, I watch it, you miss tackles. It's just, you sit there and you watch it. And you go, first 4 weeks, pro football, I mean, if you can just don't beat yourself, you're going to win some games early because it's a mess. Even in the preseason, I mean, most veteran guys don't play. They play, 30, 40 snaps, max, right? And so you get into this and you watch it unfold, and it unfolds on all levels. For them, they get some preseason games, but for college football, you get no preseason games. They count. They count. And so I just think if you can get through that, get through some games early to get your sea legs underneath you, tackling, catching the ball. I mean, anytime the ball's, is in the air, I'm always like, okay, catch the punt first, right? Catch the snap from the quarterback, right? Go under center. Don't mess that up. Don't mess the handoff. I mean, how many handoffs do you see fumbled? I mean, it's just stuff, man. It just happens, and no player goes out there to play bad. It just happens. I don't know if it's nerves, but it's part of football. And the tackling part, you can tackle all you want. Until it's live against another opponent, you don't really know. And that's why I always say the best way to teach tackling, know where to miss. You got to know where to miss. If you're going to miss them on the right side, and hopefully your defense is running to clean it up for you. But if you miss on the wrong side, it's a big play.
Herm, Tim Healy, Sun Devil Radio Network. Looking at Kent State, kind of piggybacking off of Chris's question, 2 things that jump out at me: the fast pace of their offense and a 235-pound dual-threat quarterback. How do you view those challenges and your defense's preparation for them?
Well, he makes the unannounced play a lot. He's a powerful runner, and he's hard to tackle when he gets in space. And they're a team that, they go for it a lot on fourth down. I saw him one game, 4th and 9. They were on a -30. Quarterback draw. He made it. Ran 30 yards with it. Took off, ran 30 yards. So when he starts running around, a couple things. You better contain him, and then you better plaster on the back end of your defense, because he'll throw it down the field. He's got a good arm. Got some big receivers that can jump up and catch the ball. That's kind of what they brought in over the spring, I believe, that some receivers that could jump up, a lot of jump balls. And so they throw the ball vertically. They spread you out. They attack the whole football field. They got a short passing game early, try to spread you out, hit little balls, 2nd and 5. Just want to nickel and dime you, and then vertically they'll threaten you down the field. So very well coached football team, and they go fast. I mean, really fast. We've been working on that all week, so we'll see how the weather affects both teams, really, because you want to go fast. That's great, but can we hold up? Can they hold up? It'll be interesting to see.
Coach, Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. Small schools jump up and bite bigger schools. That happens. How much time do you spend talking to your guys about such upsets?
Well, yeah, and I say all the time, that's the uniqueness of football. No matter what conference you play in, when you feel like you're the underdog, you get up for teams, and you just do. You feel like maybe I was under-recruited. Whatever it may be, players use all kind of things to motivate them. And I think when you feel like you're the superior team, which we do not feel like by any stretch of the imagination, you got to be on your guard. I said, look, these guys are going to come in this field over here Thursday. They're going to be excited about playing us. And we know it, and we're going to have to withstand all that, And we can't lose our composure. That's all we say in games like this. Is you can't, because you have this mindset of it's. Everyone has a mindset of how this thing's supposed to look, until it actually ball kicks off. And then how do you deal with, it didn't look this way? And that's where we're going to have to make sure our players understand, hey, no matter what happens, you got to play. Just keep playing the game. And you play 4 quarters, and at the end, you find what the score is. But don't have this picture in your mind what it's supposed to be. Because generally you guess wrong, right? So that's my experience in football.
Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. Coach, have you settled on a starter at the right guard? That's the position that's kind of been up in the air. And also Tillman safety. Well,
the Tillman safety, we're going to rotate guys in and out of there. Guard the same way, probably. I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. We're going to give guys opportunity to play, and so we can solidify some positions. But that's where we're at, and I just think the more you can get some guys in there, eventually you want to solidify your offensive line. Because the quarterback has to feel comfortable. But we want somebody to win the job, too. It's kind of like, somebody, don't make this like competition. Somebody win it, right? And until you win it, you're always sitting there as a coach. Obviously, we'll have a starter, but then another guy will come in and play some, and we'll figure it out.
Coach, with the news this weekend about Andrew Luck's retirement, everyone's in a little bit of awe of the mental and physical exhaustion of football players. How, as a coach, do you combat that in younger athletes, the mental and physical exhaustion of this game? Well,
it shows you how tough it is. And Andrew Luck, I'm a West Coast guy. I followed his career at Stanford. He was a fabulous player now. Wow. I mean, he put that franchise on his back for about 3 years now. He literally put him on his back and carried him. And it's been injured a lot. When you think of, if you go back and look at his injury history right now, in 7 years, he's been beat up a bunch. He has to make the right decision for him and his family. I know his wife is expecting a child. I think it's his first child. And he's emotionally drained. You can almost look in his eyes and say he's emotionally drained. He's emotionally drained with this. He hasn't practiced since April. He just came off injury the previous year and got through the season and played really good again. And he's had this bout with injuries, and that's a tough league, man. I get it. I did it for 30 years. It's a tough league. And mentally, you got to be hard, man. It's just tough. And when you start getting injured, I was fortunate. I never missed a practice. I never missed a start. But I was fortunate. I got through it. But it's hard, man. It's really, and I feel for those guys. It's a hard profession. It really is. And it eventually catches up to everybody. It caught up to me. Where I knew when I watched myself play, I said, I'm not that same guy anymore. It's time for me to step aside, let a young guy play. My heart wanted to do it. I probably could have still done it, but I wasn't the same guy. I looked at myself play and said, nah, this ain't you, man. Let the young guy have it, And I walked away. And you got to walk away one day or another. Now, he's 29, 7 years. You never know. He could sit out a season and feel good and maybe come back. But that's going to be his choice. You miss watching great players play. This guy was a savant at quarterback. He had a photographic memory, man. I watched this kid at Stanford. There was no doubt. When he came in the league, I said, this dude's a special guy, man. He's just a special, special player. And he was. You look at him his first 3 years, I mean, he put that team on his back and just carried them all the way, and he got beat up. So it's his choice. I know fans are upset, and all that, and I get all that, but this man has a family, man. That's not going to be his occupation for the rest of his life. You got you do that for a little while in your lifetime, and then you got to move on with your other occupation, because it's not an occupation you can do for 30 or 40 years as a football player. You know that when you get into this thing. And so I hope he gets well. Maybe he'll revisit it in a year and come back, because he'll be missed. There's no doubt about that.
Coach Paul Richardson here with Sportscape. Have any of your guys called you that are pros now to ask you what they can expect the first game, or have you shot them any advice, like a N'Keal Harry or any of your old players?
I leave them alone. I mean, I think the experience that they've had here, hopefully that's kind of give them an understanding of how to deal with training camp, how to deal with the competition. I'm pretty sure it has. Some of the guys I've talked to have said, Coach, what you told us is true. This is what it is. I said, well, good. I said, you make sure when you come back here in the offseason, you tell our players that. Because they need to hear that from you guys. And what we're doing is we're trying to get them in position, if they have the talent, that'll be familiar when they go there. And I'm pulling for all those guys that, this is the last cuts after this week. It's still 85. It used to be used to cut all the time, and now they wait. That's never good for the players, when they have a massive cut like that. Because then all of a sudden there's so many guys out there, that hurts the players. Now, it helps the organizations because you can hold on to those players as long as you want. But the players prefer, especially veteran guys, to get cut early. I've had veteran guys come in after the first preseason game and say, Coach, it doesn't look like I'm going to be here. Can you let me go? Because I might get a job somewhere else, right? And so it kind of works both ways. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Coach, two pieces of it. What are you doing? What are you saying to your rookie quarterback to get him ready? And then what does it say about Dylan Sterling Cole that he's not transferring, he's sticking around?
Yeah, a lot about Dylan, and I told him again today. I was on radio today locally here, and appreciate him being a pro and really investing in the football team. He said, I want to be here. And he called the developmental guys up the day before yesterday in the huddle. He was leading that group and told them, said, hey, this is what we're supposed to do. This is our role right now. And we better do it well because we're all a part of this football team. As far as a quarterback, I like him. I just like the guy, man. I like his personality. He's flatlines now. Me and him, we do this together a lot. Just look at each other and we kind of feel it. He don't panic. He don't panic now. Now, I haven't seen him play in a game in college football, but just watching him over since he got here in the spring and everything the guy's gone through, he makes a mistake. They kind of tell him. He goes, okay, Coach, I got it. And he doesn't. I can't wait to see him play. And I told him, every time you come off the field, come see me. Because that's how it works. You come see me first, we talk, and you go over on the headphones, you talk to Coach Wilkins, and you talk to coaches on the sideline, says, you come see me, just make sure you're all right. And he rolled over on the cart with me today. And he's smiling. I'm going, you all right? I said, you're always all right, aren't you? And he goes, Yeah, coach, I'm all right. It's okay. And we'll see when he comes through that tunnel. I'll be all right. You know, make sure I see him. Make sure he's not sitting on the bench when they get introduced or whatever. But I'm kind of excited about watching him play, to be quite honest.
Hi, Jeff Metcalf, Arizona Republic. Even with all the unknowns of a new season, this is your second year and you have a lot of players back that you know what they can do now. How does that kind of change your mentality going into this season?
Well, I think you can lean on some guys, offensively, defensively as well, especially offensively, because that's where you play with the ball more than anything else. There's some receivers that played last year that played pretty good that are coming back. We can't put this all on the quarterback. It's not fair to him. We got to help him. You know, we have to help him. So I think we got to make sure we do things to help him offensively. And Coach has done a good job of doing some things that we think that he can do well. But the players have to help him. You know, you can't have a foul when the ball doesn't move. You know, you can't get into first and 15 and all that silly stuff and drop a ball when you're open. You know, you can't do that to this guy. I mean, you got to help the quarterback, and we got to be able to do that. And I think the players know that. I mean, they understand where they're at, especially some senior guys we have on the team and some guys that have played a lot of football for us. Defensively, it'd be interesting to see the secondary. I kind of want to look at that and just see what we become. We have a lot of ideas right now, but I think until you start playing, you don't really know what you are yet. But we've got some talented guys back there, and it'll be interesting to see how they play the ball. That's what I want to do, is watch them. When the ball's in the air, how do we play the ball now? And can we cover? Because if we can cover, we can do some things back there to pose problems to people if we can cover.
Coach, this is your second year here. You came in with all of this checklist that you needed to accomplish. And now that we're looking at the team in your second season, we're 2 days away from the first game. If we could look back on this season in December, what can you quantify as a successful season?
Well, for me, that we're headed in the right direction in this sense. We're recruiting players that are vying for playing time, and that's how you get better. I think a successful season for me is you got to win. You know, you want to be in the hunt. I mean, we were in the hunt last year. It felt good going down the stretch. We just couldn't win 5 in a row. You know, if you said we can do that again this year, I'd say, I'm in, man. I'm in for all that, you know, and I just want to always be in the hunt. I always want to have a chance to win the South. And we had an opportunity last year, and we just fell a little short, you know, and that's just me. That's just, you know, I'm not one of those coaches that come in and say, well, if we win this many games, when I say that to a team, I'll stop coaching. I'll flat stop coaching. I just think you prepare every week to win a football game. And that's what it is to me. Every week, I don't care who you play. You prepare to win that game, man. And then the next one comes, you prepare to win that one. But I never put a number on it. I'll never in my life put a number on how many games you think you should win. I'll let other people do that. My job is to prepare them to win one game, because the only game you can win is the one you're playing. And then you go try to win the next one, and you try to win the next one. And then at the end, you count them all up, and you evaluate yourself and say, this is what we are. And so that's just me. I've always done it that way. I don't know no other way how to do it, to be quite honest.
Herm, I think the most compelling play of the first weekend of college football was the final play of the weekend. How valuable a teaching tool was it to see a Hawaii defensive lineman chase down Khalil Tate and stop him a yard short from a touchdown?
I showed it to the team. There was about 6 clips in games that I kind of showed the team. That was one, and that doesn't take talent. And that's what makes this game so great. When you get on the grass, that's what we say, leave it on the grass. Just go, man. Just play hard. And then you can live with the consequences. You truly can. You can live with it. Whatever happens, you can live with that. You just go play. And you never know the play that could win a game. And you always think you do. Like I always tell players, you know, you want to make a big play. You don't know when it's going to come. You don't know when it's going to happen. I heard coaches tell me that my whole life as a guy playing football. Well, You don't never know what to play. You know, as a player, you say, yeah, coach, you don't know. Well, I stumbled around and made a play. I didn't make many in my life, but I made one. And it's still kind of short every once in a while, right? Same deal. I mean, it's the same deal because that was my mindset. You know, it ain't over, man. To me, you got time on the clock. You just keep playing because you never know what's going to happen. And I'm the living proof of that because it happened to me. And I was on the good side of it, right? Sometimes you're on the bad side of it. I've been on the bad side of them too. But it's just, I'm the last guy to ask, you know, that question because it's like, hey, you're going to play, man. Just go ahead and play because you never know which one's going to change the outcome of the game. You don't know. And that was a great play by that kid. I mean, his defensive lineman ran too far up the field, obviously, and opened the gate. But then just circled around and kept hustling. It was a great tackle by the DB to get him, and then the guy finished him off so he couldn't stick the ball in the end zone. But it's a great run by the quarterback. He made a great play, too. You know, it was just a great play to watch, all the things that happened. And that's football. You know, it's just kind of like, okay, you'll remember that. Hawaii will remember that, right? It's just a guy running hard, a lineman, and that's a credit to him and their coaching staff.
Coach Shane Dale, ABC 15. One of the guys has moved on from last year's Manny Wilkins, now in Green Bay. Just obviously, you know his backstory and things he's had to overcome. Just how proud are you for him just to make it to that level?
Well, I'm hoping he can stick around too. That's the great part, and I think he's in a good place. We got a great quarterback that can mentor him, a system that fits what he does as well. You know, a lot of off-schedule plays in the passing game. You know, and Manny's good at that. Off schedule, get off schedule, run around a little bit, throw the ball. You know, Manny can do that. So I'm hoping he sticks around. I'm all my guys. You know, I know how hard it is. People don't realize that's a hard league to make, boy. Yeah, hard, man. And, you know, I think once they get there, in college you just think, well, I'm just going. This is what it's going to be. And then when you get there and you see, like, everybody's really good. They're, like, all really good. And you start figuring that out. You go, oh, boy, this is interesting. Yeah, they're all really good. And I tell them all the time, these guys are good, man. They're good players. They're not Pop Warner players. They're really good players. And you cut good players. You know, you cut guys that are good football players, and you go, there's not enough room. There's 53 guys. Then there's 60, you get a couple practice squad guys, then you dress 46 guys, and you kick the ball off and say, let's go play, man. And it's a great game to be involved in. And if you make the roster, the NFL roster, I tip my hat to any kid that does it, because I know how hard it is. And I did it, and I know how hard it is. And you don't realize that when you're going through it. When you're in college, you just think, oh, this is just the next step for me. And then you get there in training camp, and you start looking around, you go, man, all these guys are pretty good now. How am I going to separate myself, right? And it's all here, though. It is. It's all mental. Everyone physically can run, they can jump, they can catch, and do all the things. It's the guy that every day just keeps hitting the rock. And you got to be a mentally stuffed guy, and you got to be available. You have to be available. If you're not available, you can't compete. And if you can't compete, you're not on tape. Your tape is your resume. And if you have nothing on the tape that shows you your resume, next guy up. And then they send you home. That's that league. That league don't mess around. It's hard.
Hey, Coach. Jacob Rosenfarb, State Press. Coach Wilkins was telling us yesterday that on his day off, he was showing up at 6:30 a.m. Is there something?
On Saturday?
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
He was in here with me. I beat him here a couple hours, but anyway.
Is there something maybe about this team, or maybe Jaden specifically, that really inspires that level of excitement?
I think he's dealing with so many young guys over there. You know, we got a couple young receivers, a couple running back that hadn't played a whole lot, tight end hadn't played a whole lot, and they're going to play. And I think what he's trying to do is put them in position so they can have some success, you know, and get them on the field where there's not a lot of thinking involved, where they can just go play. You know, and that's what we got to do. We got to play a lot of these guys into college football because they haven't done it, you know. And I think the speed of it will catch them by surprise. Just like going from college to pro, it catches a lot of guys by surprise. You know, in pro football, it doesn't catch them by surprise until the season starts. Because the regular season, I mean, it's different than the preseason. The preseason, it's college players playing against college players and the backup guys. But then the regular season starts, then the varsity players play. And then the switch goes, whoop, it just changes. And I think until you've seen it, like you go, whoa, these guys are really going fast now. The preseason, a little bit of like, I kind of understand. But then when the season starts, man, it's like, whoa. And now they're game planning you. Now they're doing this, they're doing that. It's different. And college football, same thing. You get a lot of these kids, they haven't played a real football game yet. One thing to have a scrimmage, great. Now they're playing against another opponent. How does the speed of a game affect them all of a sudden? If you're a freshman, you're playing against seniors. You're playing against guys that played for 4 years of college football. You have no idea how fast it becomes and how strong those guys are. They've been in the weight room for 4 years. You've been in the weight room for 3 months. It's just different, and they got to get used to that.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Coach, you mentioned a couple minutes ago the mentality that it takes to play in the NFL and the mentality it takes to just keep grinding away.
Yeah.
Do you see a difference in the mentality of kids or 18 to 22-year-olds now as opposed to when you coached or when you played? And what is the difference in that?
Well, I think they look at things in this sense because of the world they live in. They gather information off this within 10 seconds. But there's a process to anything in life. You got to work at it. You can't cheat football. Can't be cheated. You have to practice the game of football, and then you got to go play it. You can't press the button and say, well, I want to do this. No. You can get information, but in football, you actually got to go through the process of what it takes to be a football player. And I think when you're young sometimes and you're really talented in high school, you can do some things where you're just the most talented player on the field that it kind of just happens for you. It's easy. And then when you go to college, it's like, okay, there's a lot of talented players now. Am I willing to put in the time to learn the game? Because if you don't know the game, it's hard for you to live up to your talent level. Because you got to process this information. It's not just 2 or 3 coverages or 2 or 3 things that you do. There's a multitude of things you have to learn now. And so that becomes the process, and you can't skip it. You can't like bypass it and say, well, no, I want to go to the next. No, you got to do this. And that's what I think some of them struggle with early, but then they figure it out. And the guys that really want to play, they figure it out. It's like we have some freshmen now, they come in and they see the success of Rashari and Lole and those guys, right? And Merlin and Butler, and they just automatically think, well, I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna play like those guys. Wait a minute. There's a price you gotta pay. They didn't just line up as freshmen, they worked their way into the lineup to get there, and you gotta do the same thing. So that's the difference I see, probably the most.
Luke Lipinski, Arizona Sports.
Yes, sir.
Coach, does Ethan Long remind you of anybody else you've ever coached, and what does having like a guy like that do for your team?
Probably reminds me of Lynch. Now, Lynch played quarterback in college, obviously. When he went to Stanford, they changed his position to safety. And then he was a baseball player. He was a dual athlete. He went to Tampa, they had him at linebacker till we got there, and I moved him to strong safety. So you ain't playing linebacker, you play safety. And Ethan's one of those guys, very athletic, smart, tough, can do multiple things. And you need a guy like that. You do on offense. Because he can do a lot of things. You can just do a lot of things with the guy. And you got to be smart to figure all that stuff out, I mean, he was a quarterback, and now he's going from quarterback to a receiver, some a running back. He can still play quarterback. He can do a lot of things, and it takes a guy to process all that. How do you, just to line up, at the fullback, the tight end, wide receiver, quarterback. You got to learn all the positions. That's a lot. And the freshman, that's a lot to learn. But he's a smart kid, tough guy. Just love the guy, man. He loves football. He loves team. He'll do anything for the team. He really will. And it's just fun to watch him. It's fun to watch him play, man. He has a little kid in him all the time. He'll make a play or something, and I'll be in the back of that thing, and he'll run by me. How you doing, coach? How you doing? I'm good, coach. I said, all right. I dubbed him Captain America. And everybody knows it. That's Captain America, man. He just does everything for this football team. He'll do anything for this football team he asks that guy to do. So be fun to watch him play too.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you all.